Greetings, Augies. I'm Dave Kassler, KE0OG, here with episode 111 of Ask Dave. Let's revisit the QRP Labs QCX HF rig, this time from a purely operations point of view. The QCX is a single-band 5-watt QRP CW-only radio from QRP Labs. QRP is an age-old Q signal that has to do with lowering power, and in amateur parlance, QRP on HF is 5 watts or less. The QCX radio, from a construction point of view, is described more fully in Ask Dave 109. It's a delightful radio and uses some cool techniques used by software-defined radios, though itself is mostly analog. As a side note, hams generally use Q signals in the QR and QS series because these have to do with radio. For example, QRO means the opposite of QRP and talks of raising power. Well, there are gobs of other Q signals beyond these, mostly for maritime use. And QCX with a question mark means, what is your full call sign? And without the question mark indicates, use your full call sign until further notice. I somehow suspect I'm the first person to have looked that up. I want to talk about one physical feature before diving into operations. The rig as it stands is a bare circuit board with all controls and connections mounted on the board along with the display. Take a look at this capacitor here. It got pushed over in handling. My first instinct is to push it back where it belongs, but I've left it pushed over. If it got knocked to the side once, there's a good chance it'll be knocked to the side again. Components don't take more than a few cycles of this and will soon break off. Really, for actual use in the field, the QCX should be in an enclosure of some kind. Unfortunately, it's enclosure unfriendly. Note there that the two knobs are not at the same height above the board. Also, two critical push buttons used to set parameters are way down low here on the board. And this lever here acts as a straight key, as you'll see in use in a couple minutes. All of the attempts at closures that I've seen on the internet ignore the straight key feature, which is a shame. Note too that the two stereo jacks have no threads for panel mounting, so the panel needs to be flush with the circuit board on both sides. Yet the BNC connector had to be mounted about 2 millimeters out of line to clear the display board. I hope that some entrepreneur comes up with a design that the circuit board, as it stands, simply drops right into an enclosure. Okay, on to operations. My QCX, as does some others, suffers from a glitch on power-up. It freezes and does nothing. The workaround is to unplug it and quickly plug it back in. It works every time. There is a fix for this, which I will apply someday. Anyway, after the splash screen, the frequency goes to what is set in menu 3.2 VFOA startup frequency. I have mine set for 7040 because that's kind of in the middle of the 40-meter CW activity. You can set it to anything you want. So here's the volume control, and this knob changes frequency. You can press the knob to rotate through the tuning increments, which are 1 kilohertz, 500 hertz, 100 hertz, and 10 hertz. Given that the excellent 200 hertz filter is pretty good, the only suitable step for scanning the band is 100 hertz. However, note that the filter doesn't completely kill signals outside the 200 hertz wide filter, but rather just greatly attenuates them. That way you can tune at the 500 hertz level and hear signals that are above or below the passband. Let me demonstrate as I tune a tone past the QCX's bandpass filter. seems to me the best of both worlds. The rest of the band is not hidden from you, yet you can really focus on those 200 hertz from 600 to 800 hertz. Tap on the tuning knob and go to the 100 hertz step. You can then quickly bring that signal into the passband. You can tell when it succeeds because the signal really stands out when in the passband. The 200 hertz audio filter is better than any other QRP rig I have, with pretty sharp skirts, and yet you can still hear the band underneath. Note that the passband itself is not readily adjustable. A quick tap on the left button lets you set the keyer speed. Of course, it has no effect if the straight key is selected. Note that the micro switch key is in parallel with the connections for a straight key. You can use menu 4.1 to select straight key, iambic A, iambic B, or ultimatic. If you're just starting with a set of paddles, I would suggest starting with iambic B. Now, a long tap of the left button gets you into the menu. There are lots of functions having to do with preset frequencies that you can set and retrieve. In other words, it's a frequency memory. You can also store up to 12 messages. For example, you can store a CQ call in one of the memories and a contest exchange in another. There are two independent VFOs as well as receiver incremental tuning, or RIT. And you can reverse the CW to use lower sideband instead of the default upper sideband. And setting 4.7 puts the QCX in practice mode, so it acts as a code practice oscillator without transmitting. The rig has a simple, meaning not very good, CW decoder. You can set it up to decode on receive, transmit, or both. As you'll see in the demo, it's a good check on your sending. If the machine can't decode your sending, then likely the other person in the QSO can't either. Now, although this is a CW rig, QRP Labs founder Hans Summers, G0UPL from the UK, has done a lot of work with Whisper, and the QCX can serve as a Whisper beacon. Note, beacon only, meaning transmit only. It can receive the Whisper signals, but not decode them. While the QCX's GPS connection is primarily there for Whisper use, an external GPS, such as is available inexpensively from QRP Labs, will calibrate the QCX's VFO. I found that the QCX VFO is amazingly stable and accurate as it stands without any further calibration. We might as well look at DIT shaping, since QST always includes a picture of that. This scope picture shows the spacing of DITs sent at 60 words per minute. You can see a nice rise time on the DITs and a gentle fall time. This reduces key clicks. In fact, Hans included a circuit on the board specifically for key shaping, and there's not a hint of chirp. I think those receiving your signal will like how clean it is. Okay, let's look at a real QSO. This is with station WB6 DJI in the Los Angeles area. I'm going to provide some commentary as we listen to this entire QSO. In this case, WB6 DJI is calling CQ, and I will answer. I have the radio connected to my 40-meter vertical, and I put the microphone up in my headphones so you can hear both the incoming signal and the keyer itself, what they call the side tone. It's actually very carefully constructed to be on the same frequency that we would be hearing. So if the side tone matches the incoming frequency, it's in good shape. Now here I'm using the key, the little micro switch. It's a stinker to get used to do nice clean code. I've got my finger tapping not at the end of the micro switch down at the bottom, but closer, much closer to the top, so I can get reasonably spaced dits and DAWs. And as you can see in the QRP, as you can see in the decoder up above, it seems to be doing okay. Now, I switched myself back to writing out longhand. If you write longhand, that is the quickest way to copy code. If you actually want to copy it down on a piece of paper, get yourself in the habit of doing it in cursive, lowercase cursive all the way through. If you try to copy in capital letters, it just gets hard to do that. Okay, so now I'm not copying things down like name, Mike, although I've got Mike 3 times there. I'm just trying to pull out the things that I need. His QTH is Los Angeles. He's actually in Torrance. I looked it up on QRZ.com, but that's in the Los Angeles area, very much so. It's not very far away from it. In fact, it's not very far away from Hawthorne, where I used to work for Northrop. The radio's decoder is doing not a good job on the incoming signal, but it seems to be okay on mine. Now, I'm sending RR, which means an R means I received everything. Okay, you don't send R if you missed something. So if you send R and then say, please repeat your name, you've got the two mixed up. I think I may have sent a fine business there. Yeah, FB. So I say, I received your signal, fine business, Mike, and then go in to give him my information, name Dave. QTH is going to be Ridgeway, Colorado. Now, I am listening to this with my headphones because this rig does not drive an unpowered speaker very well. So that's fine. There's plenty of headphone volume, although I've had it tuned down quite a bit for some of these. Okay, so I'm about to turn it over. Ridgeway, Colorado. I put a question mark in there, which is common. You do Ridgeway, Colorado, a question mark, and then do it again. That in some ways means a repeat is coming, or in case there is an issue. Okay, I'm giving him finally his signal strength, which I thought also was a 559. Note that the S meter up there works entirely on the analog signal. It's not an S meter in the traditional sense. Rather, it is just a kind of an audio indication. Now, what you're seeing at the bottom of the screen is actually a recording that has been, is being played in Audacity, which is what I use for all my sound processing, my audio processing. I sent a question mark because I wasn't hearing from him. I suspect he was looking me up on QRZ. So here he comes back again. So with the Audacity down at the bottom, you can see that the signal strength goes up and down quite substantially. Now, when you see my sending, of course, it's at a constant level. By the way, the volume of the side tone can be changed, adjusted, so it's not so loud. Notice it's a decoded pig. It actually should be rig. He says QRP. He's got a QRP radio. It doesn't really tell me what it is. It's 5 watts. Could be most anything. Could be another one of these radios for all I know. He says HW. There is a Heathkit series of QRP rigs that start with HW. Those are pretty old. I had one for a while. So he is sending his call, my call followed by his call. He's going to turn it over to me. Now this initiates the second round of the QSO. The first round of the QSO is usually signal strength, name, and location. The second one is often a quick report of rigs or something like that. or just signing off, which is what he did. I was doing this for a demo, so I wasn't trying to get a real long conversation. Now, I put down here that my rig is also QRP, and so we're talking from here to Los Angeles using QRP. That seems to me to be pretty good on 5 watts. You know, a 5-watt light bulb, even if it's LED, isn't all that bright. And light is a form of radio wave too, and to have that light go all the way to Los Angeles, especially considering this is going out an omnidirectional antenna, so I'm spraying power everywhere, in literally every direction. And so the amount of power that reaches this guy in Los Angeles is minuscule, many millions of times less than what I'm sending out, and yet he is doing pretty well there. I include how, S-O-H-W, question mark, and then I just give my call sign. I don't need to repeat his at this point, KE0OG. The K at the end means go ahead. And yes, that can get confused with me sending another K at the beginning, so I try to make it a little bit longer. So he's going to come back to me and just say, you know, he's got it there, can read it. Yeah, that's getting a little hard to read. He's going a little faster than I can really copy, but he says he's going to say 73. I think it's will say 73. 73, of course, is the telegrapher signal for best wishes and has been for 150 years. Okay, since they came up with the original codes for shortening things, 73. And amateur radio operators have adopted 73 just as a general greeting at the end of the conversations. So at this point, I'm going to send him 73. I say R and then find business, and then 73 right there, a couple times, 73. Okay. And then I send his call, and then mine, dotted it is DE, French for from, DEKE0OG, and I'm going to throw in an extra 73 here at the end. And then a da-da-da-da-da is SK, and then the 2 dits, dit, which just is some little way of signaling, yep, we really are done. That's a great little radio, and I'm impressed. QRP to QRP over several hundred miles. I'll admit my CW is rusty. The best way to get it up to speed is to get on the air. I may post something to the community tab on my channel page to see if anyone's around for low-speed CW QSO. Overall, this rig sounds great, is stable and predictable, with many features not normally found at this price point. It would be nice if there were some sort of AGC, automatic gain control. I know the radio doesn't lend itself to a classic AGC, given the TALO detector and all, but an audio AGC would be nice in the presence of strong signals. Even if it were audio only, or merely a limiter, it could help save us from those surprises when a sudden strong signal comes into our earphones at many dB above the signal we've been working. By the way, I do have another of the QCX kits. I'm going to leave all the switches and knobs off the board to see if that will help make it easier to enclose it. Stay tuned for a future Ask Dave video. In the United States, you can get your own QCX kit from QRP-labs.com for US $49 plus US $6 shipping. I have several of these old drone lithium polymer or LiPo batteries for an AR Parrot 2.0 drone that never really did fly. They have an entire amp hour of capacity and operate at a nominal 11.1 volts. I'm going to try one out for the QCX, given that the rig will work, albeit at lower power, at 7 volts minimum. By the way, on my 12 volt 8 amp hour lead acid battery, it works fabulously and gets a full 5 watts out to my vertical, as you can see on the meter. I tried the new community tab on my channel page at youtube.com/David Kassler and got instant and gratifying response. I put up a poll about topics for Ask Dave, and antennas come to the fore. If you haven't checked out the community tab, you can do so on my channel page. Oh, and I received good support and no pushback on using the term Augies to refer to our community. So hang on, Augies, we've got the whole world of amateur radio before us. Please click like and subscribe. Be sure to click on the bell on subscribe so as to get updates every time I post a video. Also, check out the tip jar and patreon.com/KE0OG. And I still have a few left in the batch of amateur extra videos. To see all of this, go to my webpage at dkassler.com/support. Until we next meet, 73. Next week, we'll look at modeling a multiband dipole using Easy NEC. Be sure to subscribe and like, and share as much as you like. Let's find more Augies.